What the fuck? I'm dying. Just end it
Uh,
right there. That's the end of it. I just fucking choked to death. It is a new year. It is 2026. And yeah, Naz and I thought we'd do something a little bit different for the first episode this year. Just a little bit of a roundup, a recap of 2025 and what it was for us as a platform, and just some of the kind of the stuff that we just touch base about some of the things that we managed to one achieve this year, and some of the cool experiences that we got to see within the music scene, and just some cool things that we got to experience in general. It's been a while since we've both been in a video together. Actually, fuck, when was the last time that happened?
it was that one episode that you and I did at your place about what's that event where there was
Daisies.
the glamping
It
thing?
was
Yeah,
daisies.
Daisies. Yeah, literally the last one. So
Uh,
it's ages ago.
Nothing's changed. We are still broke.
Yeah, basically we're still broke boys. Still can't afford that shit. We're still not the demographic. We're not the target market.
Yeah, we're still
It's
not
all
the
the same,
target market of daisies. It's like 3 years later.
dude.
Like,
2026 and nothing's changed. We're pathetic.
nothing, absolutely nothing's changed.
We have failed.
Dude, I mean, that's what we get for being
Uh,
musicians and content creators, I guess.
Yes, but while we are failures, 2025 was not a failure. I feel for the scene in general. Uh, there was a lot that was happening, dude. There was a lot of good shows. There were a lot of good events. There were a lot of good releases. It was a good year for us as well in terms of growth. So super stoked to be coming back in 2026 and getting going. It's cool that this is the first episode as well by recapping what happened in 2025 before we
Yeah.
commence with the usual stuff.
And like last year was a shockingly big one for us as a platform. Like it was like an unexpectedly big one. We went into I think I had the goal of going into 2025 of, yeah, let's hit 500 subs on YouTube. And then we
Mm.
ended on like 1,300. And needed
Yeah,
to desperate figure out what the new goal was going to be. And we're just like, well, fuck, we smashed it.
I think 2025 was a revelation as well in terms of the sort of stuff that people prefer consuming. I think it taught us, majority of those numbers that you're speaking of come from the stuff that you did with sort of like the commentary type vibe and the opinion pieces and so on. Seems like people enjoy that a lot more. So as much as Sludge Underground is essentially still a podcast, it really just taught me as well that that's the sort of stuff that people seem to enjoy and gravitate towards, which doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing the interviews, but it was a revelation and that this is what people enjoy. So I suppose once you've figured out what it is that the algorithm likes, then it's a matter of just hammering on to that specifically.
I'm not entirely sure that it's purely like an algorithmic thing. I mean, there's only so much that you can learn when you're speaking, when a person's speaking to a band, when you're watching an interview with a band. Whereas where it's someone talking about the scene as a whole, like the larger, like kind of picture, I think
More
people
people relate,
engaged with,
yeah.
yeah, like people engaged in that in a different way. And I got to see like a couple of people who actually started coming up to me at shows and being like, hey, I'm here because I saw this video or that video, and I didn't know that this existed prior to seeing that, which is that, first of all, hella fucking rewarding. Thank you for anyone who's actually come up to me and told me that. And secondly, I will die on this hill. And I've been preaching this for like pretty much the entirety of last year. The biggest group of alternative and like music fans in South Africa are the people who do not know the local alternative scene exists. So that's also been like an eye opener. And I agree with you. You don't want to stop interviewing bands. It's definitely like for us, the roots of our platform. That's what got us
Mm.
started. It is pretty much how we got to know everyone in the scene and got to know the inner workings of the scene. And this platform will always be for and about the artists at the end of the day.
Last year was also the first time we had a couple of interviews hit over 1,000. So I guess when people are interested in said artist or band, or there's a really interesting story to tell, they obviously 1,000 is not that big, but if you compare it to the previous interviews that we've actually done, it's significant. So it's been a revelation for sure. and I suppose it sets the tone in terms of just how we're going to go about things in the future as well.
It has to be interesting for all parties involved. As long as there's interesting stories to be told, we will be that
Mm,
platform for
yeah.
the artist to share those interesting stories and that information about themselves. So yeah.
My name is Mike Taylor. I'm a graphic designer from Durban. I've been a fan of Sludge Underground since we both started coming up together in the alternative music scene. I jumped at the opportunity to help them with the merch design. I often do clean branding for people, so I thought this would be a cool opportunity to mix styles and have something that has a lot of grit yet is still modern looking. Sludge's approach has always been a mix of artists, different genres of music, and I really thought the streetwear apparel would lend well to their brand, and it inspired me to create something classic yet bold for them.
Now, one of the things that we're obviously going to touch on is favorite shows. We saw a lot of promoters come through last year. You know, we had the likes of Imolith putting together some wholesome events. You know, we had Devil Nest who came through here in Durban, who were very impactful last year. The homies over at Winterfest doing their thing out in Cape Town. Which would you say has been your favorite, or was your favorite in 2025?
So I think there's three shows that stand out for me. The first one was Nulo. That was the Argentinian deathcore band that came through. That was brought through by Emilith. That band didn't get the turnout that they deserved, as
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned, because obviously it's a while they're really big in Argentina, they're not very well known here. And I think a lot of people saw that name, saw where they were from, and kind of just wrote the event off and were like, nah. Also, just as a slight thing, it was the same weekend of Comic Con, and there is a big overlap between weebs and metalheads.
yeah,
So I have I have a in mind theory that kind of like headcanon that played a role in the like the lack of attendance. But that band and every supporting band was so fucking good that night. And the people that were there just brought a fucking whole of their energy. And that band was unbelievably good. Like, if they come back to South Africa again sometime in the future, I will fucking 100% go and watch them again. Like, I still listen to their music. It's part of my daily playlist now. And they were like, holy shit, go check them out. If you don't have to speak Spanish, it's deathcore. You're not going to fucking understand what they were saying if it was in English anyway.
anyways, yeah,
Yeah, like, I really fucking enjoyed that band. The nicest dudes around. Only two of them speak English. What fucking ever. Uh, but still, absolutely sick band. The next one that stood out was Ramfest. That was a
hmm,
special one. That was like the first major festival I'd ever been to. Seeing
yeah,
so many of the homies on those stages, a couple of bands that I hadn't seen before. But seeing so many friends in bands who have worked so fucking hard to get up onto those stages, despite the
yeah.
problems that I had with the sound, still had a lot of fun. And then obviously Devil Wears Prada. What a fucking experience! What a fucking experience! And then the last one is definitely one of the Dawn of the Titan shows. I think it was the one at Savar.
Yeah,
Um, I think specifically just because of the vibe of that evening.
yeah,
I hadn't seen the boys from YCS in a while. They came up. They played with Sunken State. Mike and Dwayne featured on. So Mike featured on a Sunken State song. Dwayne featured on a YCS song. Like
nice.
that was one of the fucking coolest experiences. Two of my favorite vocalists in South Africa collaborating together. Two of the best, in my
Yeah.
opinion. You can fucking hate me all you want for that statement, but fuck, man. And then that was like that was like the second time I'd ever filmed the show, and
Mm,
like, so it's a special memory, like all round. And well done
yeah.
to Hardy and Hardman Productions for that. That was actually a pretty sick night.
So for me, it was definitely Ramfest as well, which is actually crazy because I only caught Devil Wears Prada for that. Literally traveled all the way from Durban. Even I mean, when I arrived, it was facing the gallows that was on stay. They were just coming on, and I was literally trying to set up my camera, start trying to set up my gimbal and stuff, but it was just giving me issues. So I only ended up coming in after I'd given up on it completely. I only came in when Devil Was Prada was just walking in, and the production was insane, man. Just witnessing that in their entire set, the production alone for that there was the best I'd seen the entire year,
Insane.
and there's been some incredible shows. So that's how I'm able to say, even though I saw The Devil Wears Prada, just what I saw in that time blew my mind. And just how they carry themselves, man. They've got what the kids are calling aura right now, man.
Yeah.
They're just oozes so much
All
aura.
around.
They are just at ease. Like they know, you just know they're gonna go on there, and they just everything is taken care of. They're gonna do what they need to do. The way they interacted with the crowd. Besides that, obviously Ramfest itself, the organizers being able to, I know we had what happened in Cape Town where the weather obviously put a damper on things, which is unfortunate. But in Joburg, man, it was absolutely brilliant. The lighting, the stage, the sound, everything was so professional, man. But that is just the Ramfest sort of standard, anyways. It's what we used to. But just seeing a band like the Devil Wears Prada come through, I had a similar experience to the one that I had at Ramfest 2013, where I was coming in. I hadn't really listened to the Devil Wears Prada apart from stuff or songs that a couple of homies had recommended, and the guys did not disappoint. It's just as good live as they are in their studio albums and so on. Very brilliant. The second would be the Ghost in the Coast events and the Recoil events. Actually, both of those that were handled by Devil Nest, which is Mike and Bryn here in Durban. I mentioned those two shows in particular because they were so impactful when it comes to Durban. Durban hadn't had an entity that would put together, you know, uh, metal events of this caliber. So they were able to come through on their debut and the follow up, and they were able to bring through bands that we hadn't had here in Durban. They're responsible for bringing down Sunken State here, a band that we'd never had before. So Devil Nest came through with some of the most brilliant shows at the Westville Warehouse. They made it work. And I'm pretty sure the bands that came down as well will tell you that it was absolutely brilliant. The people that came through that attended those shows as well were extremely happy. I'm pretty sure you may have seen in these Sludge cookies that we had, the reaction and how happy people were. So everything that Devil Nest did towards the end of the year for Durban in particular was absolutely brilliant. And that's why I would say both the shows that they ran were also some of my favorites here.
Recall was one of my favorites as well. Like, I actually came down with the Walk These Skies boys for that show, and like I was so stoked, like with the footage that I caught that night of like the crowd of the bands playing, and like that's definitely 100%. That's up there with some of the one of the best shows that I experienced.
Shout out to them, man. Favorite releases, man. We had quite a lot of people releasing music. We obviously had Walk These Skies, who had released their highly anticipated I'd Rather Die Than Become What You've Made, which was absolutely dope. We obviously had as well No
No
Closure.
Closure.
We had No Closure as well, who dropped a little something at the beginning of the year, which was followed up by, I think it was two singles, Forgetting Is a Kindness, and I think Forevermore featuring Daisy Arson, which was also, it was a very good year for No Closure as well. Obviously, Cindy Louise, friend of the podcast, she released actually a string of singles last year, which is
That
absolutely brilliant
that
as well.
woman
She's been
releases
consistent.
music at a rate that is like unobtainable to most people, to be
Oh,
honest. She is an absolute fucking demon
she's
when it comes to
she's very
releasing
consistent.
music.
Yeah,
Dude,
she's very
like,
consistent. And I don't know if it's because of how things are done in Europe, because she's in the Netherlands. I don't know if that has any influence on that. But the rates at which she's releasing stuff, obviously, we didn't get like a full body of work, but singles, man, she had
yeah,
quite a lot. We also got Sunken States, who released an EP. I think everyone was excited for that one, Hunting Ghosts, Finding Demons, which was very much well received. They even dropped a music video as well as part of that package, which I feel like it
yeah.
was just completed a really good rollout there. Halva as well, who won Vakin, also released Carry the Flag. So it was a really good year for you. Which would you say, doesn't have to be the ones that I've listed? There's obviously a lot more that came out, but which was sort of like a standout for you in terms of like a favorite release?
So, like, one of my favorite things that kind of I feel like went under the radar for a lot of people, Drunk Wizard released a song called Break Glass. And just Drunk Wizard is kind of like a band I stumbled into by accident because there's a photographer and he just goes online as a photographer but as default digital. And just through following him, boom, discovered his band. Boom, single came out, and it's
Nice.
just like goblin punk, I guess. That's the best fucking way I can describe it. Like, I actually featured it in one of like my videos that I like the commentary videos. It's actually the song that closes out that
Yeah.
video. And yeah, like you've listed like a lot of my favorites. The No Closure one absolutely was sick. Finding Ghosts, Hunting Demons. I interviewed the boys like leading up to that release,
Yes.
and fuck, man, what like where they talk about it, the features that they had, that was also really fucking cool. And yeah, I mean, the Butch and the Lone Wolf boys released a couple of songs as well that like I really enjoyed. So that was pretty sick. Two more that I can like that stand out now that I can think about it. Also like kind of a bit outside of like the genre that we've been talking about, and that would be Spoot by Zwane. Um,
Okay.
I recently started doing like a deep dive into like the Afrikaans alt scene. Also Dierbaar. Dierbaar was an artist that stood out to me as well.
Yeah. You did an episode with
Particularly,
them, didn't you?
yes, 100%. So
Yeah.
I interviewed them,
Yeah.
and that was sick. There's also one of Warren's bands, Pages. It's like a black metal band from Cape Town, and they were like one of the very last bands that I interviewed in 2025. That episode still needs to go out, which will probably go out after this. But
Yeah.
while like musically very interesting, just the guys themselves and just the
Mm.
physical releases that they've done
Yeah.
for that music. They've done these really cool like LPs. Everyone in the band is an artist. They all
Mm.
help design the physical merch and the physical stuff, and it
Yeah.
all looks just that whole package of that release is just an art piece. Like even if you're not into black metal, like that whole just package is such a cool art piece. I recommend you check that out.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that release and the episode as well. Internationally, bro, what have you sort of been into? Who dropped your favorite release? And I feel like I know this is gonna be,
you
but
know, you know, you
I
know
know,
where this is going. All
yeah, I
right,
know where
so
this is going, but go for it.
I took a turn very deeply into Midwest emo this year. I discovered Hot Mulligan this year. They'd obviously dropped the sound Body Makes When It's Still, I believe is the album's name, which is so fucking sick. I discovered them through the promotional material for the single that came off leading up to that album. I loved that single so much that I could not wait for that album, that I had to do a straight, like, just a whole retroactive deep dive back through their catalog, which I am still to this day doing because they've released a lot of fucking music and has become one of my favorite bands of all time at this point.
On my side, internationally, when it comes to just anything else, really, I thoroughly enjoyed I See Stars. I See Stars is a band that sort of started listening to in high school during like the Falling in Reverse, Bring Me the Horizon days. I almost feel like we all sort of discovered that wave simultaneously. It was a stage in our lives where, like, for me, high school was that where we sort of got
Mm,
into Sleeping with Sirens and all these bands, Pierce the Veil, so on and so forth. So I See Stars was one of them, and they happened to be one of the bands that I ended up sort of following throughout. 2016, they dropped Treehouse, which was my album of the year. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But then this year, and then after that, they took a bit of a hiatus, so they came back 2025 with it's an album called The Wheel, which was really dope. 14 songs on there. It's not a no skip album like Treehouse was, but it has some gems, man. Like I thoroughly enjoyed their songs like Anomaly there, Carry On For You, Floodlights. Those are some standouts. So if you're a fan of I See Stars, they made their comeback last year, and The Wheel is a really solid entry, sort of putting them back on the map. I hope this isn't the last time we're going to be hearing of them because they have like this on and off thing. Like they'll come back and then they'll keep quiet and then so on. But I hope this is the start of something brilliant. Their music videos are also really good. So I thoroughly enjoyed The Wheel and I enjoyed I See Stars. Otherwise, if you had to look at everything else I was listening to, I'm literally more have definitely been more into like drill, like UK drill. Funny enough, my most listened to artist was Central C, who is a UK artist. So that's what I've mainly been into. But if I'm listening to anything else, then that obviously I See Stars would be a definite standout. Moving on to plans for this year. If I had to start when it comes to this has probably been the hardest year to sort of bounce back. Uh, as just to continue with where we left off last year, which is ironic
Mm.
because this is September is going to mark 10 years of Sludge Underground. So this being the hardest year to bounce back, I think falls on something that I touched on earlier, in that we are now very, before it would have been more of a quantity thing, where even with the submissions that we were getting, it would be literally super easy to get on the platform. Um, to which is not a bad thing at all. That is the foundation of Sludge Underground, being very open and very accessible. Where other platforms might be, it might be a bit difficult to get in. So I think we've taken pride. Something that Megan often says is that we are that platform where an artist is able to get their first interview, and I think we've done a really good job for the better part of 10 years doing that, looking at the sort of artists that we've had on the show. But it's been very, well, not difficult, but it's been a bit of a weird one transitioning into this year, in that obviously being a little more intentional, where it's not stopping, in terms of, taking submissions and so on. But it's obviously now with more of, we know our audience, we know what the people enjoy. So it's sort of with that now in mind. Whereas generally other years we'd come into the year, we'd already have the schedule set out for the like entire year. By this time, previous years, we'd have interviews arranged all the way till like August already, you know. So this year it sort of feels like sort of not really stabbing in the dark, but it's also exciting at the same time because sometimes I don't know what it is. Sometimes things just fall into place, like they just sort of happen, and I feel like it's one of those years where a lot of that is going to be happening, and I'm really excited.
We ended 2025 on a real high note. Like, we saw the biggest growth that we've ever seen as a platform. I think 2025 is like collectively the most growth that we've ever experienced in a single year, across virtually all platforms that we post on, that we use. There's definitely going to be a bigger focus on like commentary content, like kind of just music journalism, to be honest. I personally want to get out into the Sowetan punk scene. I want to document what's happening out there. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this new wave of alternative Afrikaans music, what's going on there. I want to do a couple of deep dives into what's happening within the scene, and I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I've got some amazing people that like I can talk to, and whose opinions and just their insights regarding the scene and the community is like unbelievable. I want
Mm,
to give a very like special shout out to Rafilwe, who writes for Tex and the City. She is an absolutely an amazing human being and an invaluable like source of just information, and just the coolest person to like spitball ideas with. Also, Ian, it's Yosko Online. Also, just an incredibly wholesome homie to talk to about like the industry. Got a whole bunch of things I want to dive into this year. Want to do at least one deep dive a month.
yeah.
Fuck. What the fuck? I'm dying. Just end it
Uh,
right there. That's the end of it. I just fucking choked to death.
Yeah, besides that, obviously, quickies are going to be a thing still. Just even looking back at some of those, like earlier today, it's brilliant just being able to go back and look at some of the reactions and how people sort of interact at shows and so on. So that's definitely going to come back strong. So yeah, in fact, if you do, host an event or whatever, and you want us to come through, all the details are basically in the description. We'll leave that for you, so that you're able to reach out to us and basically book us to come and do coverage at your show. And yeah, so you can still expect to see interviews and so on. You can still plus all the other stuff that we've had and so on. So it's a really exciting year to look forward to. Yeah,
I think just one like really important factor is just thank you to
yeah.
everyone who has supported the platform, who has been watching our videos, subscribed to the channel, left kind words about what we're doing. And to everyone, I'll say this again, thank you so much for just coming up. And for me personally, I don't know how much of this Naz has experienced, but just coming up to me at shows and talking to
You're the
me.
Beyonce. You're the Beyonce of this organization, dude. So you're obviously gonna get
I'm
everyone
just the
coming up to
face that
you.
people see the
No one
most.
comes
That's
up
it.
to me, dude. I'm just that other guy in the background. So no worries.
Apparently, people are scared of you. Like,
Come on, guys. Okay, I want everyone in the comments to tell me. Type out in the comments why you're afraid of me. let me know. I'm not gonna bite.
Oh god. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone who's come up to me at shows and just had a chat with me about music, giving me your thoughts. I appreciate and I love every single one of you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to send a shout out to Megan as well, who didn't want to be a part of this video, but she plays a really big role behind the scenes. She's got something that she's actually cooking up, sort of like a studio for content creation. So, really looking excited to seeing how that will go. It's something to look
Mhm.
forward to. She did mention doing some sludge stuff there as well. So, shout out to her and Sean as well.
Yeah, I don't think that just imparts the gravity of like how big a part of Sludge Megan is. You may not see her, you may not hear much of her, but this platform would not function the way that it does without her. Like,
Definitely. Yeah, sweet guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, we do more of these for you. Let us know what you'd like to see on the show, on the platform. If there's anything new that you'd like to see as well, leave it in the comments. Let us know. We love hearing back from you. And we'll catch you guys next time.
hell yeah. Cheers, cheers.